What's up, my comic comrades? We are here yet again for another episode of Variant the Podcast, and we have some cool recommendations today for today's episode.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we've got a few things that we're going to be talking about to get away from the never-ending virus and pandemic talk. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff today, including the new release dates for Marvel movies, as well as Arris just said, some great recommendations of things that you can do to occupy your time in the best way possible, but also for free while we're still stuck at home. So lots of fun stuff today.
For sure, yeah. This is definitely the time to catch up on like all the shows, all the reading, all the video games you haven't played. This is like the time to do so.
Yes, it is. If there was ever a time in the history of our lifetime to consume content, now is the best opportunity. Not for everybody. There's a lot of people still out there that are going to work every day, the essential workers, but also, some people are, working from home as well. I would say a lot of people are working from home.
Sure.
So it's not, like for us, we're working from home. Our work schedule is pretty much the same. It's just, we have a little bit more free time at night because we can never go out. We are stuck in our house.
That is
just
sure.
Like you.
we feel the pain. I'm getting a little like antsy just because, I told you, I believe last night that it feels like I'm living Groundhog's Day.
Yes.
Or it's just like the same thing. Because even like the shows and stuff I watch at night, like I've been watching, initially I started watching a lot of movies, but now I'm watching a lot of shows. So I'm going through season by season. So since I'm watching the same show every night, it literally seems like I'm doing the same thing every night because I sort of am. So I feel like I need to switch it up.
And that's actually a perfect thing to bring up too, because toward the end of the episode, we're actually going to do our first segment of what are you watching and what are you reading, where each of us are going to talk about what we're actually watching right now, what series or movies that we're watching currently, and what we're reading, whether that's comics, graphic novels, or even a good book. So we're going to be doing that later today as well.
For sure. And that's going to be lots of recommendations there, because there's a lot of shows too that I want to mention that I haven't started watching yet, but I have it like on my list that I need to start getting into.
I think what's funny is that I think I've been binge watching shows more than you have.
Yeah, I think
you've been watching more movies, right?
I haven't. Well, recently I've been watching more shows, but it's actually been a lot of video games too. Because what's funny is I've said it on the show. I've said it on the show several times. I'm not really a big gamer. Like I play like the Arkham games, fighting games, and a lot of the comic book based games, but nothing else really. But since this quarantine, I've had a lot of extra time at night, so I've been playing my Nintendo Switch like crazy. So like I just got Mario Kart 8. And I've been tearing that up every night in Mario Party. So
yeah, you've been really big on the Mario Kart.
Dude, it's so much fun. It's so much because like you could drift and stuff like that, so it feels like you're in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. So but then it's one of those games that pisses you off too, because it's such a vindictive game where you get hit with a shell or like the fireballs or like you slip on a freaking banana peel and then you get pissed and angry because it's one of the I tell my wife all the time, like the first 2 laps don't matter in that game. Only the last lap matters, because you can get again, you could be in first the entire race, and then right before you're at the finish line, you get hit with a red shell. Yeah, you get hit with a red shell, and now you're in freaking like 4th, 5th place.
It's so true. And I haven't played that game in a really long time. The last time, because I got both when we got the original, the NES. And then, not the NES. The what's the last one that came out before the Switch? The Wii.
The Wii.
Yeah. So when we got the Wii, then we had Mario Kart for that, and we played that a lot. And then we got the Switch, and we played one of the it wasn't the new version. It was the last version, whatever that was.
The Wii U.
Yeah, whatever the last version was. I can't remember what the last version of Mario Kart was.
Oh, the last version. The game you're talking about. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The game Mario Kart.
Okay.
So, and as you can tell, Arris says he's not much of a gamer. I'm really not a gamer. Like, I'm far less of a gamer than even Arris is. Which is why I'm watching more shows than Arris is, because I'm not playing games at all. Although the rest of my family, they broke out the classic NES and the Super NES Mini. And they've been rocking that for the last couple of weeks. Just almost for that and the Switch they've been playing. But yeah, the last version of Mario Kart that I played was I don't know if it was 7. Is there a Mario Kart 7? Is that what it's called?
I don't remember what it was called, but I know which one you're talking about. The one for the Wii or Wii U.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the last one I played, and every time I would play it with my kids, I would give up so fast because they're so much better at it than I am. And then
Right.
that's the exact experience. It's just me literally getting relentlessly bombarded with turtle shells and every other kind of weapon in that game, and it just gets so frustrating. I wind up, wanting to throw the remote control through a window. So to save myself repair costs, I just give up.
No joke. What's crazy too is, do you remember the game? Because this is old school Nintendo. You remember GameCube, right? Did you remember SSX Tricky?
SS Tricky, yeah.
Dude, so I went on the Nintendo shop to get it because my wife, that's like pretty much one of her favorite games of all time. So I was gonna buy it, but they don't have it on the Nintendo shop. But oddly enough, I did some research. You could get that game for Xbox One, which I'm like, how did they end up with? Yeah, I was like, how did the Xbox market end up with being able to get it, but not Nintendo? That's really weird.
Was it a cross-platform game?
I don't remember. I didn't have a game. I didn't have a GameCube. The last Nintendo I had I had a Wii, but I went from the 64, skipped GameCube, and then got a Wii. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have. The only time I ever played that game was on the GameCube. So I really don't remember.
There's gonna be a ton of gamers in the comments being like, it's because of this licensing or this, or you're wrong because of this. And so again, I'm not a big gamer, so I could be wrong on all of this.
So whatever you all think, whatever you're planning to tell us, we know you're right.
Yeah,
we have no idea. Gaming is neither of our arenas.
For sure. I'll play Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and the Arkham games, and the Mario games, but that's pretty much where it stops.
For sure. I find myself, when it comes to games, when I do play games, I find myself always gravitating towards retro games.
Because again, it brings you back to that happier time, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, and I know the big things now are things like Fortnite and Call of Duty and stuff like that, where everybody really loves being immersed. Although I will say I did play. Okay, I will say this. This is very important. I played all of Jedi Fallen Order.
I haven't. See, I love those are all those nerdy kind of games that live in that fandom that I love. I would want to play it, but I haven't played it yet. I don't have a copy.
There's 2 games in recent years that I played. I got them when they came out, and I played them until they were done. I played it till I beat the game. One was Shadows of War, the Lord of the Rings base game, and then recently Jedi Fallen Order. And Jedi Fallen Order was, it was glorious.
It seems like
so good.
Everyone has been praising that game. I definitely want to play it. So I enjoyed like the Battlefront games. I know this is completely different because it's it's an actual what's even the freaking term for it? People are going to be so mad in the comments. The term where oh my god, an RPG. There you go. Role playing game. There you go. It's an RPG, Arris, you idiot. That
short for role playing game.
It's what the Arkham games are. Yeah, that. So I definitely want to play it. I did play the PS4 Spider-Man game for PS4, and
that's right.
Was glorious because again, it was basically Spider-Man's version of the Arkham games, and it was so good. So I'm waiting. Hopefully that gets a sequel. I don't know if that's been announced yet, but I'm definitely gonna want to play the second one. If that.
Did you wind up beating that game?
Yes.
Did you wind up finish it?
Yes, it is really what's awesome about those games, just like the Arkham games, is like they're fun to play, obviously, but the stories are really good. So it's like you're watching a movie that you get to play. So and that's pretty much what all good games are becoming nowadays. Just good stories, cinematics and stuff like that, and then you get to play the characters. So I feel like I'm saying I'm not a big gamer, but like the more I think about it, this quarantine is kind of might make me one, because also I downloaded the Call of Duty game on my iPhone.
Oh yeah, it's all downhill from here, man. Yeah,
dude, I've been playing it so much so that I've on Amazon, I think later this week, I'm going to order a Bluetooth controller to hook up my iPhone to the controller so I can play it like I'm playing a console.
It's a slippery slope, Arris.
Dude, because I was so shocked. Like, again, I don't play games that often, but I was actually shocked, like, how good the Call of Duty game was for iPhone. It's almost as good as it is on consoles. Obviously, it's not going to be, but it plays pretty much just as well. And I was really shocked. So I need to get a controller for it so I could, play it at night now.
That's hilarious. I haven't played it at all. The only mobile game, and actually I guess you could say this is the only game that I play consistently, is I play Raid Shadow Legends.
Right.
That's like still my go-to if I have like 5 minutes, bored, whatever, and I just want to have a 5 minutes of distraction or whatever. That's my go-to, is just jump on Raid Shadow Legends and do a couple of battles.
You have that playing on your iPad in the background, like almost all the time at the office.
yeah, because that's the other thing I like about it, is that if you want to build, because they're sponsors for the show as well, so it also benefits, because I use my account to show the audience, hey, this is what it is, and so I build it up and things like that. So I have like crap tons of characters or champions now, and they're all built up, and so that I can be really versatile, not just when I play it, but also when I'm demonstrating like what the game is,
right?
On the show when we are. But I actually just really enjoy it. You can just turn it on, and you can set to where you can do multiple battle sequences, and it'll just run automatically once you set it. So I'll let it run for like 20 minutes to a half hour in the background on my PC. And it'll just be accumulating artifacts and treasure.
It's definitely a fun game. It's crazy. I know a lot of people are like, this ad again, and it's because it's a good game. I mean, it's popular and everywhere for a reason, because people like to play it, and because of that, the company has money to promote it, and it's all a circle. Everything, it's the circle of life.
Well, everybody's like, obviously the big knock on games like Raid Shadow Legends, everybody say it's pay to play, or pay to win, whatever. And, I guess if you want to look at it like that, there's an element. But for me, that element does not bother me at all, because every game has some kind of a pay element in it now. There really are no games that don't have some kind of a pay element on there, whether you're buying skins or you're buying weapons or you're buying, whatever it is.
I was going to say,
there's some kind of element in that. It's just the mobile games tend to have more of them, because that's how these companies are making their money now, because the games are free. They're not selling the game.
For sure. But even for, like you're saying, like even for console games, like I have the new Mortal Kombat game for I bought it for the Switch, so that way I could play it on the go as well. Right. But like they just released a Spawn skin, but you have to purchase that. You know what I mean? So you could play it. Well, it's not a skin. You could actually play as Spawn now. He's a downloadable character, but you have to buy him. So even games you spend like $60 on, you still have to spend like another $10 if you want to play as like this character, or you want to give, Scorpion or Sub-Zero their classic skin. So even with games you pay a lot of money for, they still always have these add-ons that you have to pay extra for. For sure. And they also release like upgrade packs and different seasons depending on the game. Fortnite is a good example. Like everybody it's obviously it's kind of dying down, and people are, moving on to different games. It's not quite as at its peak as it was just a little while ago, but still Fortnite is still a huge game. People were loving that game. You spend all kinds of money on that game, and people just say it's different because of X, Y, or Z reason. That's fine, to each their own. I don't care. I'm just saying, we have to go back to the fact that neither of us are major gamers, so we can't really. We're not in that like bubble where everybody is like talking amongst themselves about what all the intricate issues are that they have. For sure. But for me, the pay to play or play to win issue that it does not bother me. I just don't do it. I just play the game, and I go. Because I'm not sitting there playing it for hours on end. I'm not playing it to compete. It's just something I jump on, I do for fun, and then I'm off. I think it's hilarious that we keep saying how we're not big gamers, but we've been talking about games for like the last 12 minutes. It's true. It's true, yeah. So really all we're doing is just espousing ignorance. Yeah. The first 15 minutes of this episode is just ignorant banter about gaming. I know nothing about this subject, but let's keep talking about it. Yeah. Well, we're talking about it on our level, okay? Yeah. I will say this. I mean, I want to say one last thing because I told you this last night because I saw it on the internet. I was like, this is freaking crazy. So apparently, Nintendo Switches are going for like double the amount of money now. I was reading an article last night that because of everything going on, in the world right now, they're not able to restock Nintendo Switches as fast as they would be normally. So since everyone's at home, a lot of home entertainment stuff like TVs, gaming systems, even Blu-rays are selling out and are not, don't have huge volumes at the stores anymore. So because of that, stuff like Switch and a lot of those home entertainment stuff, you can't find them, which is leading people to go to eBay in their quarantine madness and pay double for these things. So right now, like I'm sure in some states and some areas, you probably could walk into a Target or Walmart and find one. But it seems like overall, no. I've been checking eBay last night. Used Nintendo Switches, 32 gigabytes. We're going for like $400 to $450. Brand new ones, we're hitting like highs of like $500 for a Switch.
So crazy.
Yeah, and that's basically double of what it is retail. So that just shows how people want entertainment when they're at home right now.
That's so insane. Yeah, we talked about early on, you and I, and privately, we talked about like some of the supply issues that we're gonna churn up because of this whole thing. With all, not just the United States, but countries around the world that were shutting down, that were forcing people to stay home, and they weren't producing non-essential manufacturing. So so that's what it is. It's a supply issue, temporary as it might be. Which is what makes it kind of funny, right? Is because this is just temporary. In like 6 months, 8 months, you're going to be able to get the Switch for normal price. So you're going to pay double or triple for a console that if you just waited a little while, it just shows you the instant gratification culture that we've developed, especially in America and the westernized world, how like spoiled we are and how much we just want when we want it.
Well, it's 100% because you're paying to have that entertainment now because, sure, you may be able to get it in 6 months for retail again, but then you'll be back at work in a normal routine where you don't have the time to play it anymore. You know what I mean? So,
exactly right. So not only are we willing to pay for our luxury in a pandemic, we're willing to pay a premium.
Dude, even with like I was going on so it's fun to look on eBay and even places like Amazon, because Amazon doesn't only sell through Amazon, right? They have like a bunch of third-party companies, right? So like you see stuff like, obviously what's hard to get right now, toilet paper, cleaning products, and you see like a bunch of these people trying to sell this stuff like toilet paper. It's toilet paper. It's literally trash because you're literally flushing it as soon as you use it. So it's like $10 usually. It's cheap, but now you go on these websites, some people are charging like $60, $70 for like just an 8-pack of toilet paper. It's like, are you kidding me? You freaking kidding me right now?
It's unreal. I love all the memes. I love all the memes that started circulating around toilet paper. People using toilet paper as like poker chips.
It's so true. Or Lysol wipes.
It was like using currency. People just drawing like the U.S. currency logos onto toilet paper. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I think we've spent around 20 minutes without actually talking about a single thing comic book related.
Hey, it's relevant, nerdy.
It is true. That's true. Plus, it's,
I will say too, I don't think we said also, we should have said this up front, but we hope everybody who's watching is doing well. We hope you're healthy. We hope you're safe. We hope your family is, is doing well in the middle of all this, whether you're working from home or waiting to go back to work. We hope we hope everybody's doing good.
For sure, yeah. That's always first and foremost, and then you could enjoy paying double for a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, if you're not doing good, it's always available for $600.
But on that note, we should also mention again feedingamerica.org. Yeah, it's an awesome organization that's basically helping to feed the less fortunate right now, because people like us and other people are fortunate enough to still be working and have money to put food on the table and pay bills, but there's tons of families who are not as fortunate, and organizations like feedingamerica.org is definitely helping to put food on the table for these people, because I think a lot of times, especially like in a place like America where we have like we're tagged as like having the best of everything, everyone a lot of excess and stuff like that, we take for granted like the simple things in life, just like being able to pay your water bill, being able to eat dinner every single day. You know what I mean? I did want to bring this up. Someone in the comment of one of the last episodes that we promoted this was saying, America is we have so much excess. There's food everywhere. We have a surplus of food. and I was kind of like, it kind of, be truthful, it annoyed me because I'm like, come on, man, like you have to know that in a time like this, just because we have an abundance of food or excess of all this stuff doesn't mean people have the means to get it. You know what I mean? Not everyone is as lucky as, you or me or, all these other people. Some people like have, go hungry. So when something like this happens, this bad, like this is only amplifying that like 1,000-fold. So, I think it's a responsibility for people who have the means to do so. If you have a little extra, help someone out. You know what I mean? Like, what is $10, $20, even $4? That could give someone a meal for a day, or even one meal. Then you're never going to notice that. Now, obviously, not everyone can do that, but if you do, that's a great thing to do. So that just kind of annoyed me. So I wanted to bring that up, because I'm like, I think like Stan Lee said, with great power comes great responsibility. So if you have the means, or to do so, I think you're responsible to help out the less fortunate, because that's what I think superheroes would do, and all the stories and characters we like, teach us. So it only makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, when it comes to things like that, people who say things like that, I just chalk that up to just selfishness. Mm-hmm. That's really all that is. It's just people that are just looking at, they're doing life wrong, in my opinion.
Right.
There, I said it. If that's the way you think and that's the way you're approaching charity, you're doing life wrong.
For sure.
But also I want to point out, this is a fantastic segue where we're talking about paying a premium for a Nintendo Switch, and then, oh, by the way, there's people who can't get food.
For sure.
No, but as far as feedingamerica.org, yeah, that is the organization that we're partnering with right now. As we said, we're going to be partnering with several different organizations, and it really does, like Arris just said, it really does boil down to America. While there are people who think about things and approach those things, I think in an improper way or short-sighted way, I think America and people more generally in the U.S. are more broadly a very generous people. Mm-hmm. And that's why in times when the economy is good, you see food pantries and food banks and a lot of the charitable organizations that provide a lot of aid and relief to families who really need some help. You see them really full and doing well. And it's a little bit easier. It's not perfect. Nothing is ever perfect, but it's a lot better. But in times like these right now, where there's a lot of people losing their jobs and finances are really tightening across the board, not just for the extreme lower income, but also the middle class. That means that the people that are typically able to give out of the kindness of their heart because they do care about their fellow man, they're not able to do so as much. So that's where we really have to be very vocal and also kind of dig deep just as a society, and then say, okay, it is for all of our benefits that we look after each other and we do the best we can, to where if we see someone in need, we help however we can. And in our case, and us here at the Variant Nation, the benefit that we have is we can come together as a group. And if everybody who watches our show or is listening to this podcast, if you just give $1, just a single dollar, we literally have hundreds of thousands of members of the Variant Nation. If we all come together on a weekly basis and we say, okay, we're just going to do $1 a week, that's it, each of us, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially that we could raise and put in the hands of people that can stretch those dollars in an incredible way and put food on the table and in the hands of parents who just are really trying to feed their children, might have lost their job recently, or we're just having a hard time or struggling even before all of this started. So there's a lot of good that we can do together, and so that's the main reason that we're partying. That's why we're bringing this to you guys, because we know that you, like us, you want to be that person that steps up if and when you can. And so I think if we all come together, and like I said, if you can't do much, just do $1, just a single dollar. If all of us will just do $1, we can make a big dent in this thing just as a group here at the Variant Nation. So we definitely encourage you to do that. We'll put the links in the description of the podcast here on the YouTube channel, as well as on the podcast, the audio version of this podcast. And then if you switch over to our main Variant channel, all of the recent episodes of the show will have links, donation links attached to the episodes for feedingamerica.org for the next couple of weeks. And then we'll also be looking to incorporate some other organizations that are helping healthcare workers and the families of healthcare workers who have gotten sick, dealing with this issue as well. So that'll also be something we incorporate later on. But for right now, definitely, let's come together and help some people.
100%. And with that, now let's start talking about some comic book stuff.
Absolutely. So we did fun.
Yeah.
And we put it right in the middle there. Just give a little bit of like, hey, don't forget, there's some hard stuff going on. And now let's get back to some fun.
We hit all aspects here on Variant.
That's right. It's like an Oreo.
Yeah. So first thing up, as we know, because of everything that's going on, a lot of movies have been pushed back and given new release dates. One of those movies is Black Widow. Black Widow was supposed to come out in May. It has now been pushed back to November of 2020. So it's going to be a holiday movie this year. Yeah. So we're still getting it this year, at least. I know a lot of other movies have been pushed to 2021 or even don't have a rescheduled date. So at least we know when Black Widow's coming out.
Yeah. And like we talked about before, the reason this was so difficult for Disney and they didn't release they didn't give us a new release date once they said that they were postponing is because this affects the entirety of the MCU, this whole situation. There's multiple movies that now have to move and shift, not to mention the Disney Plus series that they had in production and that we're also getting ready to release. So everything, of course, has to line up because it's all in continuity with each other. And so the timelines all have to match. So Black Widow is actually taking the place of the Eternals movie in November. So it's actually taking the Eternals release date on November 6th. And Eternals is moving to February. And then, and then it just keeps going down the line. So Shang-Chi, which was supposed to come out in February, is now moving to May of 2021. Doctor Strange is moving from May to November. Thor is now moving to 2022 as opposed to November of 2021. They bounced one movie that was untitled, and Captain Marvel 2 is actually going to be taking the place of that one. There's a lot of shifting just overall for the entire MCU.
In a nutshell, I mean, I guess layman's terms, it basically just bumped everything back. You know what I mean? It just pushed
by about 8 months.
Yeah. So it's like you said, Black Widow's taking the spot of Eternals, and then Eternals is taking the spot of, X, Y, and Z. So it's pretty much just going to be that. So, I mean, that in the grand scheme of things, that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. So,
it's a 6-month difference.
Yeah,
the one thing that we haven't seen is we don't have updates that I've seen. I don't know if you've seen them. For the Disney Plus series, if there's going to be any changes there.
No, I didn't see that either. I will say, though, I did read an article, Bob Iger making a statement saying that Onward and Frozen 2, which wasn't supposed to be on Disney Plus as quickly as it was, he says we are probably going to see a lot more movies go straight to Disney Plus. He didn't say which ones, but he did say they're probably going to be... I said a lot. Let me take that back. A few more, but he did say there's going to be a few more that are probably going to go straight to Disney Plus. He basically alluded to the lower one, the big blockbusters like Black Widow and stuff like that are these huge, multi-$100 million films and whatnot are not gonna be on Disney Plus right away. But some of the lower tier ones, like I would imagine for them being lower tiers, like a $70 million movie to them is lower tier, might go to like Disney Plus right away.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the same thing. Basically they're still trying to figure it out. Disney has their hands full right now. In that same interview, Bob Iger said this is the most challenging situation that he's faced in his entire tenure with Disney. So, which is obvious. I mean, it's like, it should go without saying. That should be, but I mean, Disney particularly, they are getting bombarded on all fronts.
Oh yeah.
Every aspect of their business minus Disney Plus is almost at a standstill. So they're juggling and trying to figure out a lot of different things, including once they are able to reopen their parks all over the world, what are the new procedures and the new things they're going to have to put in place to make people feel comfortable? How many people are they going to be allowed into the park? There's a lot of logistics they're trying to figure out. So one of the big ones, obviously, as far as the moneymakers on the production side, is their Marvel films. And so all the other films, I think, I think they were trying to tackle that first, and then all their other slate of productions, including their Pixar films and that were, supposed to be coming out, as well as they had Mulan that got pushed back, and a lot of the other live action remakes and stuff that they're doing.
I will say, how ironic is it that literally, I believe, weeks after he appoints a new CEO for the Walt Disney Company, all
Poor
this
Bob
happened.
Chapek.
Yeah, that this happened. So that's pretty crazy. I believe Iger's still like the chairman of.
He's chairman, yeah.
He's chairman now, so he's still there doing his thing. But
Bob Chapek was like, "Thank God this happened before you left."
Yeah. Tell me what to do, Papa.
Yeah, because he's still basically in mentor stage.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think he's only been active. He's been CEO for like what, a month now?
Like a month and a half. Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, this would have been crazy no matter when it happened, but that Chapek was like, "Man, am I jinxed? Is this a sign? Is this an omen?"
But like you said, he's got the cushion of Iger, who easily is one of the best CEOs Disney has ever had. So yeah, that's not bad. Not bad.
No, not at all. You're basically in a position where you have two acting CEOs in a way.
Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine the chaos going behind the scenes, though. Like the chaos has got to be like in the calls these guys are constantly on, and not even obviously like the big ups like Chapek and Iger, but even just the studio heads, everyone people who individually are the head of like Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, like everyone who's running, and then even just the episode the showrunners for all, because all this trickles down. There is thousands and thousands of people that go into all these pieces, so I could only imagine the logistics.
Well, it trickles down. So, in that same interview with Bob Iger, he talks about, how he's having all he's doing now, because he's at home too, like everybody else. He's working from home. And so literally all he's doing all day long, he is from early morning till nighttime when he stops working, is he's just literally doing video conference meetings. The number of discussions and meetings and brainstorming and trying to figure that out, it's got to be round the clock.
He's just got buckets of water putting out fires.
Oh yeah,
every hour.
Yeah, it's nonstop, and I'm sure it's the same for a lot of different companies all over the country right now.
But switching gears a little bit, going to the other side of things, the Warner Brothers DC side of entertainment. DC Comics is actually donating $250,000 to comic book shops, a comic shop fund to keep them alive across the country, which I thought was absolutely amazing. But even better than that, Jim Lee is now doing sketches. He's doing charity sketches. So basically he's doing them on Instagram. He's posting them on Instagram and social media. So basically what he's doing is he's doing a sketch every day for 60 days. And then he's auctioning them on eBay in 3-day auctions and letting people bid on them. And then whoever wins that bid gets to pick the next thing he draws. So the first one I believe he did was Nightwing, and the person who won that piece on eBay gets to pick the next auction he's going to draw. And I believe it was like Azrael or something like that. But the really nutty thing is, each of these pieces have average sales of around $7,000.
That's incredible.
Now I did the math. I was like, if you average anywhere between 6,000 to 7,000 times 60, that's over $400,000 he's going to make for charity for comic book shops. So let's just say it's $400,000 plus the $250,000 DC Publishing is already giving. These guys are giving almost $750,000 to comic book shops.
That's amazing.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Amazing. Now, obviously, the sad part about that is that it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as far as the overall need for the industry. But that's where, it kind of goes back to what we were saying before, where it's like everybody coming together. Those are just two examples of incredible generosity from people that are in the industry that are not just looking out for themselves, but are saying, look, there's people in our industry that are really struggling. These are human beings with families, with, these are businesses they've built. This is their livelihood. And, it's just people coming together and doing whatever they can to try and alleviate a really, really, really difficult situation for a lot of people all over the country. So it's just super cool to see. And I think we've already talked about this a couple of times, but it's been really great to see how many companies are stepping up and are trying their best to help
100%.
and alleviate and take pressure off where and when they can.
But
it's not in every case, but it's been enough to where it's been really cool to see. And I can only hope it continues, because there's going to be a lot more need to come.
For sure. And what's crazy is, this is kind of like, it takes one person to start it, right? So this is almost kind of it's starting like a domino effect here, where he also announced that Brian Hitch is going to start doing sort of the same deal. So other artists are coming on board and doing like these fundraiser pieces to be like, hey, I'm going to draw this Batman, and then we're going to auction it, and we're going to donate that money to comic book shops to help keep print and comic book shops alive. So I think it's, it only takes one. So, I could only imagine like a month from now, you got like Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo, all the the titans of the comic book industry doing all these commission pieces and donating all the proceeds to charity to keep comic book shops alive. And then who knows, by the end of this, we have, several $1 million to help support the industry that we love so much.
That's fantastic. And coupled with the federal relief, I'm hoping that it goes a long ways towards salvaging as much as possible and saving a lot of these businesses that we all love.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just so cool to see, man. And if you can go out and support these artists, knowing that that's going to a good cause as well.
Because you also get an awesome original piece from someone like Jim Lee,
right.
Like easily, like he would be on the Mount Rushmore of comic book artists, right?
Yeah,
it's like Jim freaking Lee. So to get an original piece from him, he's been doing some cool stuff. He did a Nightwing, he did a Red Rain Batman, which is really cool, and one I was drooling over. He did an Arkham Knight style version of Batman Beyond. So wow. Batman Beyond in his Arkham Knight skin, which was dope. And then he had like the Hall of Armors, if you will, of the bat suits in the background.
Nice.
With like he had the BVS armored bat suit in there. He had the original Batman Beyond bat suit in there. So he even put little Easter eggs in there. So you're getting these really cool, I believe they're 9x12 prints. And I was lurking eBay because I just wanted to see. And there was one guy who won like 3 of them. So this guy dropped like $21,000 on original commissions from like Jim Lee. I was like, what the heck? I'm
wow.
like big baller over here.
Yeah. Big spender.
Yeah, right?
Well, it's going to a good cause, so good on you, man.
For sure, and he gets some cool pieces for his collection. But anyway,
and good on Jim Lee for leading by example too.
100%. He's always been one of my favorite artists. He might actually be my favorite artist. I'm a '90s comic book reader because that's when I was a kid, and he was like the guy. Him and like Todd McFarlane and Liefeld and stuff. But for me, more so Jim Lee. So I am very happy to see that he's doing good in the world,
Likewise.
Now, as you guys know, Bloodshot was in theaters for about a week or so before all theaters in the country got shut down. We actually weren't able to see it in theaters, but we did buy it on video on demand, and both of us watched it. I personally already gave my thoughts on the channel. So, Tim, I want you to go first. What do you think, or what did you think about Bloodshot?
Oh man. Well, I mean, to be fair, you only gave a spoiler-free version of your
that is true, yeah.
So we're both going to be to preface going in, we're going to talk openly about the film. So if you have not seen the Bloodshot movie, this is your spoiler warning. We're going to just talk freely about it. We're not going to be, trying to refrain from spoilers. So if you don't want to, you feel free to skip to the next section until you do. I will say so I know that you were kind of iffy on it. You were kind of down the middle, where it was like you didn't love it, you didn't hate it, you kind of just liked it. It was just there. I was probably a little bit more on the like side than you.
Okay.
It was, why? Because I knew going in this was not going to be a particularly deep story. They were going to pull from the comics, but it wasn't going to be necessarily spot on.
Right.
And they were going to take their liberties and things like that. And I'm kind of, because Vin Diesel is in the starring role, I was anticipating more. And he's, whatever you think about him as an actor, he has a lot of sway in the movies that he's in because of the Fast and the Furious franchise and some other things that he's done. So he comes with a lot of weight. So I knew that he was going to be directly involved with the creative development of the film as well. So I kind of was just anticipating like a Fast and the Furious version sort of a thing of a superhero movie.
Right.
And that was probably the one surprise for me. And I think it's the reason why I liked it more than I thought I was going to, is the fact that I felt like he wasn't kind of the typical, Dom from, the Fast and the Furious movies. He had that element to him, but he was also a little bit more vulnerable. He was a little bit more confused. That whole draw about his wife and him not, them basically telling him that was his wife, and that whole dynamic of Bloodshot. It was a little bit, I thought it was a little bit deeper than I thought they were going to go with it, which was for me a nice surprise, but it was also fun. It was just a fun movie. There wasn't a ton of action. I really thought it was going to be just like nonstop action. There was more story than I anticipated, but I thought it was a very fair and fun initial outing for the Valiant universe in the live action version of Valiant stories. Mm-hmm. Was it perfect? No. Was there things that, could have been done differently? Sure. Just like every movie. The one big thing, and I don't know how you felt about this, and this was a major disappointment for me, was there were no hints about any other character in the Valiant universe. There were no Easter eggs. There was no post-credit scenes leading up to anything else. There was nothing that told you this is part of a broader universe. And that was a disappointment for me. I was really looking forward to some kind of a hint at either Harbinger or Rye or Exo, something, and we didn't get anything. So that's kind of a nitpick, I guess, because this was a Bloodshot movie, obviously. But I want to see, like we've talked about many times, we're fans of Valiant Comics and Valiant Entertainment here on the show. And we want to see that get developed into an entire cinematic universe. So I think that this was a good and a serviceable initial outing. And I'm hoping it's good enough to warrant either a sequel or moving into the next. And they don't just give up on it or anything like that, especially because it was the worst timing in the history of ever to release your debut of a cinematic universe, where it really wasn't even able to have its run in the theaters. So I don't even know what the numbers are on the video on demand side for it, how it's been performing. I just hope it's done well enough for them to where they don't just, brush it to the side and it gets a fair shake and they're able to expand it further.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said in my spoiler-free review, I'm down the middle with it. Like it's unfortunately for me, it was one of those films that's very forgettable. Like I don't think I'll be talking about this movie like a month from now, 3 months from now, or even it like there were some cool aspects. I did like the fact I thought they handled his memory and him trying to figure out who he was, and then the twist of realizing that everything, like nothing was what it actually was. His memory kept getting reset from the jump. He just thought that he had this particular wife and this person killed her and stuff like that, but it was just a narrative that they were using to get him to do what they wanted him to do. So I thought that was handled really well. Some of the action was good too. I liked how when he would get hit in the face with like a shotgun blast or something, all the nanites would go out but then come right back in. So there was cool elements like that and stuff. But overall, I felt like it had a lot of cool core Bloodshot elements, but then on the flip side, there was a lot of things I'm like, oh, but why didn't you do this or that? Like I thought it was weird. I think I did say this in the spoiler-free review, that we never really saw a fully realized Bloodshot. Right. Where you see his skin turn white and stuff around 2 or so times in the movie, but it's really brief and stuff like that. And then they never really they sort of explained the glowing thing in the chest because they showed a mouse or a rat with it, how it glows. And they're saying that's because it was dying in that area or something like that. Right. So they kind of explained it for this movie universe, which is very different from the comic books, as in the comic books, it's pretty much an open wound in their way of entering in to, put the nanites and stuff in there. So, I don't know. Again, it was just very okay for me. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. And I will say, though, I do think now with all this out of the way and the origin done, I do want to see a sequel for sure. With all that said, I definitely want to see a sequel. I think now with, people knowing who the character is and stuff like that, they could run with it, and kind of go on and hopefully expand out to the broader Valiant universe and stuff. I would like to see like Shadow Man and stuff like that, Exo and all that good stuff. But I did think the ending was kind of weird, how he was just like normal dude again, and they just got like in an RV and left with like his new friends now.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't necessarily a normal. I mean, he was still Bloodshot.
No,
he still was, full of. He was just free of, the organization. It was. I will definitely agree with you. It felt like an abrupt ending.
Yeah.
It felt very abrupt.
And maybe it was just because I'm always expecting like, because in comic books and even obviously the comic book movies, by the end of the movie, you get like, oh, now this character is Iron Man. Oh, now he is Captain America.
Right.
And for me, I didn't feel like, oh, and now he's Bloodshot. I think that's where I'm most torn, where even though, he had that scene at the end where, he's walking, doing that superhero slow motion walk and all the nanites are coming out of him and stuff like that. But I'm like, for some, I guess just the way it happened within the story or the character development, it didn't nail it for me. And the expositional, the dialogue, that's the thing that I think took me back a lot, as far as they were explaining everything to you. I said that in the spoiler free review. I was just like, okay, all right. But I want to figure it out.
Yeah, and that goes to me. I think that speaks a lot to budget. I gave it a pass. You know me. I usually do not give passes to films on that.
Right.
That's a big one for me. That's a big no for Tim when it comes to filmmaking and storytelling, is expositional dialogue. With this one, like I said, I kind of went into it with the mindset of like, this is going to be something where I just turn my brain off. It's going to be shiny objects, and I'm just gonna, I'm going along for just a fun ride of action and so on. Like I said, like a Fast and the Furious movie. It's basically how I was looking at it. And it did have a lot of expositional dialogue. I gave it a pass because it very much felt like, even in the time and the length of the film, it felt very much like they had a budget they had to work within. And they had a broad story, and they didn't know if they were going to get a second shot at it.
For sure.
So they had to tell a lot of different things. So they took a lot of liberties. I mean, even the way that Vin Diesel looks as Bloodshot is really different than in the movie, or in the comics rather. So it's like there's a lot of differences. And so I think that also contributed to your feeling at the end of the movie, where it's like when you were looking at him at the end, alongside with the abrupt ending, you're looking at him and he doesn't look like Bloodshot at all. And it's because we're used to the comic book iteration of Bloodshot, and he doesn't look like Bloodshot from the comics. It's very much Vin Diesel playing Vin Diesel's version of Bloodshot. So it very much felt that way.
Vin Diesel was like, I'm not wearing a toupee. You ain't putting hair on me. Bloodshot's bald now.
100%. That's what it was.
But I'll say with all that though, I don't want to make it seem like I didn't like the movie at all or I'm bashing it. I do think if you like Valiant, which we both do, and lots of people do, obviously the third largest superhero universe in comics, and you definitely like Bloodshot, you definitely watch it. For sure, watch it. I think.
Definitely.
I think if anything, I would be upset again if it didn't get a sequel. Because say what you will about it, I think, especially everything going on with the pandemic and the releasing time of it, and even just the movie itself, I think it does deserve a sequel because, first movies to characters that no one knows, is you have to tell them who this is. It's not Batman or Spider-Man where everyone knows their origin. No one knows. Most people don't know who the heck Bloodshot is. But so now with this out of the way, they could run with it and do all the more comic booky stuff and action scenes, and start bringing in like Exo and Ninjak and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, that was like that's really what I want to see. I want to see them hint at and introduce one or two other characters from the Valiant universe, or at least at the bare minimum hint at their existence. I just felt like that was such a missed opportunity with this, to get people excited about the potential future, but also to start broadening that awareness, because a lot of people, while Valiant is the third largest superhero universe in comics, it's a good deal behind in awareness Marvel and DC, still more broadly, I would say. With the general public. And so you just introducing that awareness of like, hey, this is a character in a broader universe. And I really wish they would have done that. And I'm hoping that we get it in the next iteration of the film.
For sure. Well, that's the cool thing with like Valiant, right? Where they're the third largest But that's the cool thing with Valiant, right? They're the third largest superhero universe. But with that said, it's still relatively small because you got to remember, like Marvel and DC, like their universes are insane. The X-Men, Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the Inhumans. Like there's so many different offshoots. Where with like Valiant, there's there's a good amount, but it's you could probably name them all at least and not forget a bunch. You have like the Harbingers and all that stuff like that. So I think it would be a nice compact superhero movie universe too, where everyone could really understand everything and not be too confused, and you don't have to give too much backstory because there's not like these 20 different teams and organizations that you have to explain. So I think that could work to their benefit, where everyone could know their universe really quickly, get familiar with them, and then love them that much quicker.
I agree completely. And the other thing, I don't know if you got this too, and this is something that I hope they kind of stick with because I felt like it was different, is this movie and the direction they went with this and how they're telling their story, at least for Bloodshot, we'll say. And I kind of, like I said, I hope they continue this because it would, I think, separate them from what Marvel has done or what DC is doing, is it had kind of a 90s action movie vibe.
Oh, 100%.
Which is, I think, why that's another reason why I think it was kind of it almost felt like a novelty for me. Like it gave me like flashbacks of like the action movies that I grew up watching in the 90s. And that was endearing to me in a way. And so it's not going to probably play the same for everyone. But I really kind of hope that they follow that vibe and they stick with that because like I said, it's just a totally different tone and it would really separate them and stick with kind of that like just old school 90s action.
It's like you're watching Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want them to be like overly cheesy or like just, really generically bad or simple storylines, but just the overarching tone, I guess you could say. If you stick with that, I think that could be a really cool change of pace and really separate them from the pack.
With that said, let's transition into a list we compiled for you guys of things to do while you're at home quarantined.
Yes, and it's the perfect transition coming off Bloodshot because that's actually one of the things that you can consume. Bloodshot's available on video on demand, as we mentioned, so that's a perfect transition.
For sure, but if you're looking for free things to try, the DC Universe is one. Right now they're offering a 7-day free trial. As you guys know, the DC Universe app is basically an app that has a bunch of DC content on there, whether you're talking about comic books, TV shows, movies. They got like the first 2 seasons of Batman the Animated Series, Static Shock, a bunch of original series like the Titan Show, Swamp Thing, the Harley Quinn animated series. The list goes on for days. Batman Beyond. It's a really good app that I've been enjoying for quite a while now.
Oh yeah, we've had it right from the get. We actually did a giveaway when DC Universe first came out. Where we gave away some initial memberships to this DC Universe, and we've been regular users since they launched. So it's a great platform, and they've got, like Arris said, it's got pretty much everything from comics to some original shows and podcasts to some of their movies, their animated movies, television shows. It's just got a ton of great DC. So if you're a DC fan, DC Universe is great, and they got that 7-day free trial. So what we'll do is like we'll start with comics just in general. We'll stay in comics across the board. So these are all things, if you're stuck at home and you're running out of things to watch or do, and you only have 1 or 2 streaming services, this is going to be kind of a list in different sections of things that you can take on and you can consume during the course of at least the next month, and in some cases 3 months, while this whole situation continues to go on. Hopefully it wraps up a lot sooner than that, but we really have no idea. So these are so staying in comics, in addition to the DC Universe, where you get 7-day trial, Marvel Unlimited. Arris, I'm sure you also saw this. Marvel Unlimited is doing, through May 4th, is doing a free, it's not really a trial per se, where they're just making a portion or a select grouping of comics available to read for free. So, and that's available right now. I don't even think you need a membership or a login. I think you can just go there and you can just click on them and you can read a bunch of different Marvel comics on the Marvel Unlimited site for free.
For sure, yeah. For through the month of May, a lot of select comics. And what's cool about Marvel Unlimited too, is they're always adding new comics. Oh, they're always like, I believe they're actually around 3 to 6 months behind of what's coming out every Wednesday new to print. So like if you're patient enough, you'll be able to get that, you read everything just a few months behind. So it's definitely an app that, you know, we use for the show and research and stuff all the time, much like the DC Universe app, which also is constantly adding new DC comics and stuff all the time. But Comixology is another one, and that has both Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, and pretty much every publisher. And right now they're giving a 60-day free trial, which is crazy. So you could have their Comixology Unlimited, which has tons of Marvel books, DC books, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom Studios. The list goes on, Image. So, you know, you have access to pretty much every publisher and 2 months to read a backlog of a bunch of stuff. And Power Rangers is on there. And you guys know I've been really digging all the Power Ranger stuff from Boom Studios, whether you're talking about their Turtles crossover or the main Mighty Morphin Power Rangers book. I believe the first 2 trades are on there unlimited, and you could read them right now for freezies. If, again, none of these people sponsor us or anything. So, right. I mean, it's just good content. It's comic books. You guys know that's what we do here. So you have access to all of it with the Comixology stuff, or most of it, rather. I'll say most of it.
Yes, and that's a very important ad. None of the companies that we're going to mention are sponsors of the show. We didn't partner with them. These are just things that we are aware of, that we wanted to bring to you guys so that you're aware of them and you can take advantage of them. Well, like I said, while we're stuck in home. And Comixology, that 60 days, that's actually an extension because they usually do like a 30-day trial. They extended it to 60 specifically for this period. It's a limited time during this period where people are kind of stuck at home to encourage people to stay home so we can knock this virus out as quickly as possible. So good on Comixology for extending that. And between DC Universe, Marvel Unlimited, and Comixology, that's pretty much all the comics that you can handle almost that keep you busy the entire time on the comic
I was gonna say, as far as comic recommendations, I mean, that's like, you know, comic book shops are shut down right now. We're not getting new print books. So like this is, if you want to just read stories, this is the way to go. And like you got the big 2 and then Comixology, which pretty much encompasses a little bit of everything under one roof. But moving on to movies and television, we have, I don't know how to even pronounce this name. I think it's Quibi,
yeah.
Quibi? Okay, yeah, it kind of was making a little waves on social media a little bit ago, because I guess it just recently launched.
Yep.
And I guess just launched. They're doing a free 90-day trial. And from what I don't personally have it yet, but it's on here because I know you've been looking into it and watching it, and it's on my radar. But from what I know thus far, maybe you could tell me more, is it's basically a channel or app that allows you to watch short format videos and TV shows or episodes, if you will, like short films pretty much. It seems like their whole thing is like 10 minutes and less, which is a really intriguing format. So again, I have to download this because I'm just curious.
Yes, it's Jeffrey Katzenberg's new platform. And he's got Meg Whitman on there, former CEO of HP, who's actually helping him run it. But basically what it is a mobile app. It's called Quibi because it's the combination of quick bites. So they are highly produced original content solely for the platform. And I'm talking about huge names, from everything from Steven Spielberg to Idris Elba. And I'm talking about major names are involved in the productions, from directing to acting to producing. It's really high level stuff. And there are series. Some of them are going to be short films, but all of them are going to be between 7 and 10 minutes. It's just a really unique and different form of entertainment, and it's literally meant for very quick consumption. So if you're just sitting in a dentist's office or whatever, and you just have a few minutes, you can jump on, you can watch an episode, and you're done. That's the whole concept behind it. It's really interesting. I think this is probably one of the more interesting ones on our list because it is a very different format, especially at this level of production. So I'm curious to see what kind of an impact it has, how popular it becomes, and if it changes the way that we consume entertainment, or if it just gets lumped onto the variety of entertainment options that we have.
I'm very curious. I mean, to me, it seems like it's almost like the Vine of like short films and TV shows. You know what I mean? Where
that's one way of looking at it. Yeah,
you have this very limited time, and you have to tell this episode or story within like 10 minutes or less. Because I've actually been hearing too that their whole thing is 10 minutes or less, but a lot of the stuff is like 5 minutes even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like really, really short stuff. So it's definitely something I'm going to check out. The next one on here, Shudder, horror movies. Who doesn't like horror movies? Everyone loves horror movies, right? That's probably not true at all. But I like horror movies.
I don't.
A lot of people like horror movies. And they're offering a 30-day free trial right now. It's really cool to see that all these streaming platforms and digital media stuff is, they're giving everyone like 30 days, even 60 days in some cases to try it out, which, hopefully that 60 days is the entirety of this quarantine and we don't go any longer than that. But Shudder, if you like horror movies, that is definitely one to check out. I believe they have a lot of like, because horror movies is obviously its own genre and fandom, but there's this whole part of horror movies where you have a lot of like the quote unquote D-list, C-list movies, like they'll have those cult followings. And I know the streaming service has a lot of those type of movies. It's those, it's not like the Amityville horrors and stuff like that, all that popular, like the Conjuring stuff that's a big blockbuster. This is for like the diehard horror fan that just likes gore and scary things. So definitely if you're here quarantined at night and you want to be scared, this is something to check out.
Yeah, it's a great one. And then if you're not so into horror and you're more into tea and crumpets, if you're a fan of British television or Australian, Canadian films, TV shows, whatever, we've got Acorn. Also is pretty much primarily overseas content from the UK and like I said, Australia and Canada. They're also offering 30-day free trial, so that's available to you. And then of course you get into the bigger guys, the ones that we're all used to. So HBO. Obviously right now they're actually just streaming a bunch of their content for free. You don't even have to sign. Yeah, you don't even have to sign up for HBO Go. It's not a free trial. It's literally they're making it available to people who are during this time while we're sitting in quarantine. So, from shows like The Wire, you can actually go and just binge that right now, which is a great show. But movies, television, they've got
Entourage.
They've got a great selection on there where you can just go and watch for free, which is really cool. And then Showtime. Showtime also has a 30-day free trial. That one is not just open and available. That's an actual trial, but it's 30 days. So you have a whole month to just watch some of their shows and their, isn't it, what's that show that you watched on Showtime?
I was just going to say Shameless. That's literally, I've been finishing. So they had the 9th season on Netflix, which is actually the next one on the list. But they had the 9th season on Netflix. So me and my wife just finished that. And now we are watching season 10, the final season on Showtime. So literally, that's what I've been watching all week, using the Showtime app. And we're on episode like 4 of season 10 right now. So it's a dope app. They also have like Homeland on there, tons of blockbuster movies, original series. It's basically like another version of HBO. It's premium television. So if you like HBO and blockbuster films and original content, I definitely suggest checking out Showtime as well. Plus Shameless is a really, really good show. I've
very popular.
Show forever. I've really been digging that show since season 1. So yeah.
But that also same thing that leads us to Netflix. Netflix.
What's Netflix?
It's this very small company that just came around a couple of years ago. They offer, just streaming content, and I believe you can get like DVDs and Blu-rays through the mail.
That sounds interesting. I think I gotta check
try that out. Yeah.
This Netflix you speak of.
If you're one of the 3 people left on Earth who don't have Netflix, they also are offering a 30-day free trial where you can watch everything on Netflix for free for an entire month. So that's available, and that's actually going to be on my list of things that I'm watching. They have Netflix has been really stepping up their game. They've put out some really freaking great stuff lately.
They've had to though, right?
Oh yeah,
with all their competition lately.
And to their credit, they knew they had to really, and they knew they had to step it up, and they dumped a ton of money into production, and they have been putting out some really great stuff, including Ozark season 3, which I will get to in my what we're watching. But that's Netflix.
No spoilers. I haven't started it yet.
No spoilers. Spoiler free. But then we've got, to wrap things up, we've got CBS All Access. So for those of you who are interested in the new Picard series, for instance, right? CBS All Access is now available for up to 60 days free with a couple of promo codes.
Star Trek is always one of those things that I've dabbled in. Like I've liked the the movies in the 90s and early 2000s growing up. I definitely like the J.J. Abrams trilogy on that. But like it's always been something I wanted to get into more. Like I watched The Next Generation like casually, like everyone did in the 90s as a kid and stuff like that. But now you have the new Picard series, and I feel like I almost need to go back and like start catching up on all my that Trekkie knowledge, if you will. But I've said it before, I've always leaned more towards Star Wars. It's not like I'm choosing one over the other. It's just I naturally have leaned more Star Wars just because it's Darth Vader, man.
I would agree. I've definitely been a bigger Star Wars fan, but I am a big Star Trek fan too, and always have been. I have not started I watched the first episode of Picard.
Okay.
But I have not continued to watch the rest of the season. But now I'm going to with this all access. I've got that lined up.
I was gonna say you got 60 days to watch to catch up on it.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be doing that because I am a big Star Trek fan.
Next one on the list though is Hulu. This is another one. Everyone knows what Hulu is. It's definitely like top 3, top 5 most popular streaming platforms out there right now. And I'm a big Hulu fan. I think I almost like Hulu as much as Netflix in a lot of ways. They seem on par for me because it has so many things that Netflix doesn't have, but at the same quality. Like Animaniacs is on there, Tiny Toons is on there. They have like all those cartoons that I watched as a kid.
That's where Animaniacs went?
My daughter was watching it this morning while she was eating cereal because she's actually a big fan. We're like 6 episodes in. She started watching it last night. And she's addicted. She loves the Animaniacs now. So I'm like, yes.
Well, yeah, because it's amazing.
Dude, yeah, Tiny Toons is on there. Pinky and the Pinky and the Brain show is on there. Pretty much all those Warner Brothers shows are now
I did
on
not
Hulu.
know that.
Mm-hmm. So look
at
at
that.
That
I know. Now I've got to get Hulu because I don't have Hulu.
That 30-day free trial. Get that month for free and then buy it. Yep. So
it's never ending.
Exactly.
This is how they get you.
So that's on there. There's tons of original movies on there. Also blockbuster movies, original series. I really like Hulu, especially if you like normal TV, like primetime TV, like like normal TV, like Fox and CBS and stuff like that. Like Lego Masters I've been watching, and that's on there day after. If you're a fan of like The Voice or American Idol or any of those quote unquote popular shows that are on on Friday nights and Thursday nights, it goes up a day after on Hulu, plus all the original stuff. Yeah, so I am a big Hulu fan.
So that's a great one then. So you get 30 days of that for free.
For sure.
And that's a crap ton of content right there alone.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And so right along with that, you've got Disney Plus, which again a lot of people already have, but they offer a 7-day free trial, and you can actually bundle Hulu and Disney Plus together.
Because Disney owns Hulu.
Because Disney owns Hulu.
Yep.
What doesn't Disney own? But
dude, it's crazy.
So combined with all of that, I mean, that is a crap ton of content for everyone to choose from. And if you're looking to go beyond movies and TV and comics and looking for just a regular book or a graphic novel, but you don't really like to particularly read per se, Audible, you can actually get a 30-day free trial and 3 free audiobooks right now through Audible. So that's another option. So
Audible's awesome, man.
Audible is great.
Because it's basically like you're listening to a podcast in a lot of ways, except someone's just reading you a book. You know what I mean? Because in the time we live in, people are just lazy and don't want to be reading these actual like 200-page novels, and or you just don't have the time and you want to take in a book while you're working out or you're making that commute to work or what have you. So Audible is definitely something that fills in those gaps and is a great alternative to, watching YouTube videos or even listening to podcasts.
No doubt. I actually subscribe to Audible. I have Audible myself and I use it all the time. It's because I'm a big book reader. So
for sure. Yeah.
I'm a big reader and but if I'm on the go a lot. So I like to pretty much constantly be reading I read fiction, but I'm big on nonfiction. So I'm big on history and things like that. So it's just such a great format and ability to where if you want to keep, just devouring and consuming knowledge, and you don't have as much time as you want in your schedule to read, on a daily basis. It's a great way to kind of supplement that. So where you can read a little bit as you can, and then, you can also listen on the go. So you can actually combine. So if you have an actual book, on something, you can get the audio book as well, and you can combine the two, and just, it's just a great format. And so, having that ability, like I said, not only you get 30 days, but you get 3 free books of your choice off the platform. So that's a great option.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I used to have it back in the day, and then I did like a purge of things, because you just kind of, you get the Disney Plus, you get the Amazon Prime, you get the Netflix, you get the Hulu, and then at some point you're like, okay, all those $7 start adding up. You're like, what can I cut? But it's true. But I think I might have to put it back on the list.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
But now let's talk about, with all those recommendations out of the way, let's talk about what we've been watching out of all this. Because we just gave the options of all the stuff you can watch and where you could watch them. Now, what's the stuff out of all that we've been consuming with our orbs?
And there has been quite a bit.
There has been. Do you wanna kick it off?
So yeah, okay, I'll start. So as far as I'll start with what I'm watching, and I already mentioned one, which is Ozark on Netflix. Ozark season 3 came out this past week, and I've already watched the entire season. Like in just about 4 or 5 days, I watched the entire thing. I won't say any spoilers because Arris actually has not seen any of Ozark. You remember those people I said that were doing life wrong?
Low blow.
Yeah. No, you definitely have to watch this series.
It's on my list.
So good. Jason Bateman is not only one of the lead actors in the film or in the series, he's also one of the writers and the producers. He's directed some of the episodes and things like that. But it is so very good. It's about a family where the husband is like basically an accountant who gets involved with a drug cartel, and he gets himself into trouble with the cartel because his partner winds up stealing and skimming money from the cartel. The cartel finds out about it, and he winds up, things spiral out of control. I'll just say it, leave it at that. And this 3rd season, in my opinion, was the best yet. It's so good. Definitely recommend Ozark if you haven't seen it. Again, it is very rated R. It is not a show for kids. So I will say that. So Ozark, great. Another one that I just started watching is Hunters, the new Amazon original series with Al Pacino, and it's really good. It has such a different vibe than I anticipated. It's almost like Tarantino produced a television series.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it has this Tarantino flair to it. You know how Tarantino deals with like heavy and dark subject matter. But he does it. There's almost like this lighthearted, almost like Inglourious Bastards, right? How he dealt with World War II. And it was like, you're dealing with some really heavy-handed subject matter, but he does it in this very like lighthearted, playful way almost. To where it feels fun, more fun than it should be.
That's my daughter in the background. If any of you could hear that, she's like, "Daddy, are you done? You've been in there for a while."
She's just trying to give her opinion on Hunters as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like that, where it's dealing with the Holocaust and Nazis and post World War II. Where did the Nazis go and what effects did they have on society? And obviously they use some historical elements, but it is wildly fiction. It's mostly fiction, and it's, they definitely take their liberties like across the board, but they're dealing with that subject matter.
I have that on my list as well, so I'm definitely going to check that out, as well as Ozark. They definitely sound very, very good.
Yeah, both of them are great, and I definitely recommend them. As far as what I'm reading right now, comic front, I started reading Spider-Man Noir, and we're, of course, both reading Thor. But those are on hiatus right now during all of this. But we did just get Batman, The Adventures Continue. So we both read that, and we actually just did an episode on it. And it's just a lot of fun, a lot of just old school, like 90s fun. The first issue, it's short. It's really short. It's almost, it's like almost like a comic strip almost. in that
It's half
way.
an issue. The way they're releasing it is very much in the same way they did Batman Beyond 2.0, where they're doing
Right.
half issues at a time to kind of, I guess, spread it out, and then eventually, when you get 4 chapters, they'll release a single issue in print.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still just super fun, and you get the first issue, we get a robot that looks like Iron Giant, so there's just so much like, 90s throwback in there.
Dude, it's
and then
great. Yeah.
I'm also reading a book right now, totally non-nerd related. I guess it could be in the terms of history, but I'm rereading the book Lords of Finance just because with all of the economic craziness that's going on right now, I'm rereading that book. And if you've ever if you're interested in how the financial world and the modern financial world was created, Lords of Finance is actually a good book.
Well, there you go. Is it my turn? Does that mean it's my turn?
Yep, that's it. You're up.
I'm up. Okay, so let's start with comic books because that's what I love most. And boy, there's a lot. I'm probably not gonna remember them all. So as you mentioned, though, Batman: The Adventures Continue. I love that. Everyone knows I'm a massive Batman the Animated fan. I have like tons of stuff in the background. Half of this room is Batman the Animated Series related, and this is, this was like a dream come true for me in a lot of ways because Paul Dini in an interview said that this is the season we would have got if they would have continued doing the new Batman adventures and not stopped to do Batman Beyond. So this is literally filling that gap between the new Batman adventures and then Batman Beyond and Justice League Unlimited. So it's like right in there in that time frame. And with that, they're introducing characters like Deathstroke, Jason Todd, Red Hood. Everyone knows I love Red Hood. Easily one of my favorite Robins, maybe my favorite Robin. I feel like him and Nightwing fight it out all the time in my head. But it's just really, really good that we're coming back to this world. And in the first issue, I don't want to give too much spoilers, but we get a lot of references to things that have happened in the DC animated universe. Like we even get a reference to maybe one of the animated movies that's in the DCAU, which is really, really cool. And I've just been enjoying it a lot. That obviously James Tynion's Batman run, clearly. That's been really good. I read the latest issue for that. I've been reading a lot of back issue stuff too, which is, this is the time to do it since we're not getting new comic books. Nick Spencer's Spider-Man stuff, which is really good. Tom Taylor's DC Unkillables. I'm keeping current with that. I've been really liking Robert Vendetti's Justice League run. Obviously, you mentioned earlier Donny Cates' Thor. I've been going back and rereading Donny Cates' Venom run. I've been started his Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. I've basically just been running the gamut with comic books, trying to catch up because I was behind on Josh Williamson's The Flash, so now I'm catching up with The Flash, and a ton of other stuff that just like old rereads and stuff like that. I can go on for days and days. But as far as stuff that I'm watching, Altered Carbon. It's a Netflix original series.
Yeah.
I love sci-fi, and this very much has. It's what's really cool about this series is, for me, it feels like a mixture of like Blade Runner 2099 mixed with like the old school like Hercules Xena shows, right?
Oh,
so,
sure, yeah.
So it has like that cheesy like sci-fi element to it, but then with the cool factor of like the modern sci-fi, like the new Blade Runner movie and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it has that, to me, that perfect blend of like, you have that cheesiness, which you come to love with sci-fi and things of that nature, but then that cool, like, badass stuff and just the awesome looking landscapes and cities, and then a really cool story too. The whole premise of the series, without giving too much away, is this is years in the future and stuff like that, and now the human body is essentially a sleeve. They literally call it a sleeve, where they figured out how to put your memories, like your brain essentially, into a chip or a slab, if you will, that goes in the back of your neck. So because of that, they could literally take it out and put it into any sleeve, a human body, and you could be anyone. You know what I mean? So you could basically, now you're immortal essentially, because when your body gets too old and stuff, they'll take that out and you get a new sleeve. But like everything, the rich people have the best sleeves and stuff in this world, and then they're living up, kind of like almost in the Batman Beyond universe, where like the rich live up in the air in the sky over the clouds, and then on the ground you have the less fortunate and a lot of the poverty and stuff like that, which they've been exploring in the Batman Beyond comic book by what's his name? Oh my, Dan Jurgens. Dan Jurgens has been kind of doing that same sort of thing within Neo Gotham, which is really cool. But I just really, really love it. It's got a lot of action in it. The sci-fi is great, and I finished the first season, and now I'm starting the second season, which actually has Anthony Mackie in it, which is really really cool. So
that was actually
Falcon's
my question. That's my question I was going to ask you, is if you had already watched the first season, because the second season just came out.
Second season did, yeah. I finished the first season in about a week. I was watching like an episode or two, like 2 episodes every night. So I'm starting the second season now. Castlevania, obviously. I've been watching it slowly though, because I love Castlevania so much, and they're so short. They're only like 25-minute episodes that I don't want to blow through it, because it's easily a show that I can get through in like 3 nights. But then I'd have to wait another year and a half to get the next season. So I've been savoring it because I love that show. But
small bite-sized portions.
Right. So I've been watching that, and obviously they've just released the new season for the Harley Quinn animated series on the DC Universe app. We got the first episode for that recently, and we're getting the second episode here soon. So that as well. And then a bunch of other random stuff. I watch stuff with my wife and whatnot. But those are the 3 shows that I've been like religiously watching right now.
All good options between yours and mine, though. That's a solid selection of things that we can recommend to people.
For sure. And to bring this full circle before we wrap this up, also, I've been playing tons of Mario Kart.
Yes. Yeah. And I can't say that I have been playing a lot of Mario Kart, but I can say I played all of Jedi Fallen Order, and I highly recommend that game if you haven't played it, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, because the game actually integrates a crap ton, because it's in continuity with the actual Star Wars universe. So it just integrates a crap ton of things that you see, especially in Star Wars Clone Wars, Rebels, but also some of the cinematic universe, particularly the newer films. There's tons of stuff that you've seen on screen in one format or the other that is in the game, and you actually get to interact with. So that is also a very fun thing. But that is what we are reading, watching, and playing.
For sure. And like I said, it brought it full circle. I also think this is one of the longer podcasts we've done in a while. We're about an hour and a half. We usually keep it around an hour, but we had a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, finally. Something that wasn't depressing.
I know, right? It's like, I hate turning on the TV now just because it's like every freaking news channel in the world is just like, giving you the update of how many people are not doing so well in the world right now, to say the least.
It's rough, and it continues to be a challenge every day. But like we've said many times already, we're going to continue to try and just bring, we're going to talk about the things that are going on, but we're going to continue to bring things that are fun and uplifting and keep our spirits up as we all work through the madness.
For sure. But like you said, I hope you guys enjoy those recommendations and you check some of them out. And then even let us know in the comment section and all that stuff, what stuff you're actually already watching and what stuff you're going to watch because of the recommendations we just gave you.
That's right.
Yeah. But with that said, we'll see you guys next time when we talk about all things comics.